The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Nice to see everybody here. Really. So, having a nice day here today, and I just was talking to my girlfriend Melissa, who she had to bring down a cat this morning to have down to the Brewer emergency room, for the pets. And what was happening is her cat Blackie was vomiting from her mouth, and there was mucus and all that mixed in with it, and it wasn't normal because the day before the cat was just fine, and all of a sudden this happened this morning when they got up. So she got scared and brought the cat down to Brewer, and I met up with her there, and there was the doctor took the cat, took blood, did an x-ray. They found that there was a kink in her intestines, which he said indicates that there might be something in there that she might have swallowed and wasn't supposed to, and it's not going through. The cat's only 1.5 years old, so it's possible the cat was, playing with something and it got in there. However, what happened was they did the tests, and then they decided, well, in order to get that whatever's in her intestine out, we got to operate, okay? And so Melissa was like, well, I got to call my mother because this is her cat, and she's going to have to authorize anything like that. So we got Terry on the phone, and she told the doctor to go ahead and do the operation, which they did. Once they cut the cat open and they went in there, they didn't find anything in the intestine that was causing the kink. However, the blood test showed that there was a virus this cat had that affects only 2% of cats, okay? But he says every cat, I guess just about every cat has it, and some cats can live with it, others don't, okay? And Blackie had this thing, and it just flared up, and it made her sick and everything. So they closed the cat back up. Terry was pissed, to say the least, because now she's looking at least $2,000 just from that, from the day being down there. And we had to take the cat to Timberlake veterinarian in Orono, where she's staying right now and recovering for the next 3 or 4 days because of the operation. But they're giving her fluids because she was dehydrated, and they're giving her antibiotics to fight this virus or whatever it is, hoping that it'll cure the cat. I don't know if it will. She hasn't said anything yet or called me about what happened, so I imagine the cat's still hanging on. But it's sad because the cat's so young, and this damn thing come out of the clear blue, and everybody thought it was something that she must have swallowed, and it wasn't. So I don't know, cats are cats. I mean, you can't, the thing about a cat is they can take the most enormous amount of pain and never show it, okay? You can look at them and they look fine and not even realize they're suffering big time. I mean, they could have a broken friggin' bone and they won't even yelp. They'll just limp around, but they won't even, it's like, do cats even feel pain the way people do? I mean, I don't know, but they can tolerate so much. And so we're just keeping our fingers crossed that Blackie will be okay. Smokey, her birthday's coming up there next month. They're on the 1st. So I got her a few presents, as if she ain't got enough junk already. Right? I had to make a toy box for her, for all the toys that I have for her. Yeah, I've been spoiling her something rotten. I guess, that probably explains a lot of her behavior, trying to get away with things and stuff. Right now she's sitting and looking out the window. So today, the hearings, quite a revelation for a lot of things, especially some of the election workers who had to deal with threats being levied at them, at that period, because they wanted these people to basically lie and say Trump won. Okay. And they wouldn't do that. So they try to threaten them. Okay. So this article here was written in Yahoo News, written by Dylan Stableford, entitled January 6th Hearing. Georgia election worker and her mother says Trump's lies led to death threats. A former Georgia election worker told the January 6th committee on Tuesday that lies spread by Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani about her and her mother taking part in a voter fraud scheme led to death threats and harassment in the wake of the 2020 presidential election. In a hearing before the House Select Panel investigating the events that led to the Capitol riot, Wandera Shea Moss, an election worker in Fulton County, testified that false claims made by the former president, his personal lawyer, and their allies about her and her mother, Lady Ruby Freeman, a temporary election worker, quote, turned my world upside down, unquote. Quote, I don't want anyone knowing my name, unquote, Moss said. Quote, I don't want to go anywhere with my mom because she might yell my name out over the grocery aisle or something. I don't go to the grocery store at all. I haven't been anywhere. I second guess everything that I do, unquote, she continued. It's affected my life in a major way, in every way, all because of lies for me doing my job. Same thing I've been doing forever, unquote. Trump and Giuliani made numerous false allegations about Moss and Freeman, claiming they used a suitcase to sneak ballots into Atlanta's State Farm Arena on election night, and that Freeman passed Moss a flash drive as the votes were being tallied. The supposed flash drive was, in reality, a ginger mint, Moss said. As a result, Moss said she and her family were repeatedly harassed by Trump supporters who believed the former president's false claims. At the urging of her boss, Moss said she checked her Facebook messages, and there, quote, were just a lot of horrible things there, unquote. They included, quote, a lot of threats, wishing death upon me, telling me that I'll be in jail with my mother, and saying things like, be glad it's 2020 and not 1920. unquote. Quote, a lot of them were racist, a lot of them were just hateful, unquote, Moss said. Get off of that. She said her son also received threats and that at one point people went to her grandmother's house and tried to make a citizen's arrest. Freeman, who sat behind Moss, testified earlier before the committee. A tape of her testimony was played during the hearing. Freeman said she was forced to go into hiding after the FBI told her it would not be safe for her to be at home around January the 6th, 2021 and until the inauguration. She said she stayed away for 2 months. Quote, it was horrible, unquote, Freeman said. Quote, I felt homeless. I can't believe this person, Trump, has caused this much damage to me and my family to have to leave my home, unquote. Freeman said she lost her reputation and a sense of security because Trump and Giuliani, quote, decided to scapegoat me and my daughter to push their own lies about the election being stolen, unquote. Quote, there is nowhere I feel safe, nowhere, unquote, Freeman said. Quote, do you know how it feels to have the President of the United States target you? The President of the United States is supposed to represent every American, not to target one, but he targeted me, Lady Ruby, a small business owner, a mother, a proud American citizen who stands up to help Fulton County run an election in the middle of the pandemic, unquote. The hearing was the fourth in a series of public presentations by the House Select Committee, stemming from its investigation of the events surrounding the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Tuesday's hearing was focused on Trump's efforts to pressure state officials in Arizona and Georgia to deny his 2020 election loss. Arizona House Speaker Rusty Bowers, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and Georgia Chief Operating Officer Gabrielle Sterling testified before Moss. In her written testimony, Moss, who served as an election worker in 2016 when Trump carried Georgia, said it didn't matter to her who won because she is, quote, not a political person, unquote. Quote, this job was never about politics for me, unquote, Moss said. Quote, it was about counting every vote, unquote. So, yeah, I mean, that's friggin' sad, you know. And because she's black on top of it, you know, that's obviously going to make her an even more tempting target for these freakazoids in the Republican Party who simply want to go around believing this lie that Trump won and the country is against them. And that fueled them going to do January 6th. You know, what is it about the Republican mind that makes them intolerant of the democracy that we live under? I mean, these people can't really be happy, okay, when they say that, you know, that they're patriotic or something. They can't really be patriotic if they don't like the system we live under, okay? I mean, if they were patriotic, then they would have been all for the election. They'd be all for separation of church and state. They'd be all for people's having personal freedoms and privacy. They're against all that, okay? They're against all of that. And, you know, it's like, well, what is it that you guys don't like that makes you think you're patriotic, but you're really not? Because, you know, for all the things that they say, you know, about America this, America that, you know, and we know what's good, you know, for everything that they say, they contradict themselves by their own actions, okay? Patriotic people who love America don't pull off stunts like January the 6th. Okay, they would have accepted the loss and moved on like they always did before. Even Democrats, and as many times as we get our asses kicked, you know, on the left, do you see us going out there and throwing rocks through the Capitol buildings and all that stuff? You know, do you see us doing shit like that? Of course not. Okay, of course not. We don't do that sort of thing. But the Republicans these days, the kind of Republicans that are in that party now, have absolutely no qualm about kicking a police officer to death or beating him with a goddamn hockey stick or a golf club and, you know, smashing people's heads through a fucking glass window. I mean, they don't have a problem with doing that. And at the same time, they're screaming, USA, USA, USA. How is that supposed to be in support of the United States when you're trying to overthrow it? You know, you're trying to undo a lawfully performed election, okay, which we're guaranteed the right to do, all right? But they want to take away that right in order to appease a man who simply lied them into where they ended up, okay? A lot of these numbskulls are sitting in prison now for their participation in the riot, and it's all because Trump led them to it. And did they feel sorry about it? No. You know, these people are so arrogant that they don't care that Trump is throwing them under the bus. They don't care. They don't freaking care. And I don't see how we got to this point in America where we have 35 to nearly 40% of our country being so dumb and gullible that they will sacrifice their life for a lie. You know, when did we come to this? You know, what I mean, is it the culmination of decades of right-wing propaganda or demagoguery from the right wing that led them to it? I mean, I have to wonder, because I do remember a time when things like this didn't happen. I mean, this yeah, politics was always an argumentative thing, but it was never to this point where people were willing to shed blood for it, you know, especially against each other. I mean, shed blood for it in a war is one thing, but to go against your fellow citizen and say you're patriotic and then you're killing them, you know, that's never happened before. Not in my lifetime anyway. So I feel like this is ridiculous. And you know, it's so important that we have to, you know, make a stand here on this issue with what happened January 6th, to try and see if we can't prevent it from happening. And if we don't hold the people responsible for participating in that, then people are going to assume that there's no punishment if you want to go do something like that. That, you know, hey, we just go to jail for a little bit, we get out, and that's it, game over. You know, we don't have to care about who we kill or something, okay? You know, I mean, what else are they to think? And, you know, I'm really interested in why all these people that have been testifying now and know so much about the things that went on in the Trump White House, where the hell were these people before they were called in to testify? Why did it take a subpoena to get them to step forward and tell the truth? Why didn't they report this stuff as it was happening, or before it was happening, when they knew there was plans within plans being done in Washington, D.C. to try and overthrow Biden? I mean, what the hell was you know, what motivated these people? Did they pay them to come and testify? I mean, what the hell was it? Is it just because, you know, testimony, you know, what do they call them, subpoenas from you know, Congress and all that, they're really not considered like something that they worry about being enforced, okay? Not like a subpoena to go to court for something like that. You know, they don't mean much to certain people, okay? But I don't see how in the hell all these people, you know, like Barr, who knew a whole lot of what was going on, but didn't say anything about it until he was actually forced to show up and testify about it, okay? All these people could have stopped January 6th from happening if they'd have stepped forward sooner and said, I heard this so-and-so doing this, I overheard this one. Not a single one of them did that. All the people that are talking right now in the hearings, all these people who overheard stuff, who witnessed things, none of these people ever thought about reporting any of that, okay, or reporting that Trump was up to something, okay? They let it happen, and then they sat on it for months and months and months. You know, what were they thinking? That eventually we'll get away with it and we won't have to testify? Then that means that these people were just as complicit in what happened as Trump was, because they didn't say nothing about it. I mean, witnessing a crime and not reporting it is almost the same as committing that crime yourself. I mean, that's don't you know, the people that get shot on the streets, okay, and they're looking for a witness to identify him, and nobody steps forward. Don't you hate that when it happens? When you got all kinds of people around who saw a friggin' murder take place, and not a damn one of them will go to the cops and describe who the fucking murderer was or what he looked like. Okay, that's what these people are like. They saw a crime happen. They witnessed what was going on happening, okay? and not a damn one of them decided to step forward and say, well, I know this happened, I know that, I heard this, and start an investigation. They waited until they were subpoenaed, okay, and then they stepped forward. And of course, the media, the press, had to dig up a lot of information on their own in order to corner some of these bastards, so they had to testify. Like cell phone messages and stuff like that were being sent back and forth. The content of those messages, very suspicious conversations. I mean, the press had to find a lot of this stuff in order to give the committee ammo in order to go and subpoena some of these people here and tell them, look, we want to hear what you know, okay? And did they have to threaten some of these people? Like, if you don't show up, you're going to, put your ass in jail or something. I mean, why do people feel like, it's good that these people are coming forward and talking now? They've been sitting on all these nuggets of facts for months and months and months and never said a damn thing until they get papers to show up to this thing and testify under oath. Okay? It's like they were hoping they would get away with it. But now that their backs are to the wall, they got no choice but to come forward and say, oh, well, I did, and try to be the hero. But a hero doesn't wait to be recognized, okay? They do what they got to do at the moment, and they know it's the right thing to do. These people knew what the right thing to do was, but they didn't do it until they were forced to do it, okay? And that really bothers me, because if they were all hush-hush about this for all this time, what else are they keeping hush-hush about that happened under Trump, okay, that they ain't talking about now still to this day, okay? What else did that bastard do that we may have gotten away with because nobody's talking? I mean, right now we're focused on January the 6th, but we know that bastard for 4 years was up to something for a long time, doing a lot of different crooked things, okay? So what else are they hiding and sitting on that people haven't stepped forward for? That's what I'd like to know. Okay, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
If I'm beaten and raped in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my rapist. If I am raped by my father, brother, or uncle and get pregnant in the state of Texas, I have to give birth to the baby of my family abuser. This new law is so draconian that I can be prosecuted for having an abortion, and so can my doctors, friends, and family who advise me, or even the Uber driver who simply drives me to the clinic. This is madness. The same people who have been protesting and screaming, "My body, my choice," when it comes to the COVID vaccine, are now saying I don't have any control over my own body. Texas Republicans won't require a 12-year-old girl to wear a mask in school that may save her life and the lives of other children, but they will force her to keep a baby regardless of how she got pregnant, including rape and incest. I am a woman. and I have a constitutional right to make decisions for my own body. I am a woman, and I have a human right to refuse to give birth to my rapist's baby. I am a woman. This is my body. I am a woman. This is the United States of America. I am a woman. You do not own or control my mind or my body. Shame on the men and women who passed this law, and shame on anyone who sits in silence while women suffer and die because of it.
The Fresh Maker.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. All right. Another story here from the Orlando Sentinel, written by Carolyn Catherman, published yesterday, entitled, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, we are not going to order vaccines for kids for state health departments. You see how friggin' bold-faced they are about being vicious, and yet people still want to vote for them. Amid backlash from political rivals, medical professionals, and senior federal government officials alike, Governor DeSantis on Monday morning reaffirmed his decision not to pre-order newly authorized COVID-19 vaccines or offer them at state health departments. Quote, we are not going to have any programs where we're trying to jab 6-month-old babies with mRNA, unquote, he said during a news conference at the Pig Barbecue in Callahan. Quote, we still have not ordered it. We're not going to order it, unquote. You ought to serve him up in the Pig Barbecue. Florida is the only U.S. state that did not pre-order COVID-19 vaccines for kids under 5 before the FDA authorized them. After the FDA granted an emergency use authorization Friday, the state allowed healthcare providers to place orders for the vaccines, something providers in other states had been able to do since June the 3rd. Pfizer's vaccine is 1/10 of its adult dose, and it's intended for kids 6 months to 4 years old. Moderna's shot contains 1/4 of the dose given to adults and is intended for children 6 months to 5 years old. The shots will likely be given in 3-course series. Nikki Fried, Florida Agriculture Commissioner and candidate for governor, spoke to media Monday morning as well from Tallahassee, bashing DeSantis' choice not to pre-order the new vaccines. Quote, it's just one more anti-science, dangerous COVID denialism from the governor and Dr. Lombardo, unquote, Fried said. She contended DeSantis and Florida Surgeon General Joseph Lombardo should give parents information without infringing on their, quote, parental rights, unquote, to make their own decision. Quote, telling parents to not vaccinate their children is making a decision on their behalf instead of providing information knowledge, unquote, she said. The state health department in March recommended against COVID-19 vaccines for healthy kids, saying the risks of vaccinating them, quote, may outweigh the benefits, unquote. This stance has been contradicted by major medical groups, including the Florida chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Now that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has signed off on the shots, doctors can begin to administer the vaccines as soon as they get them, said Dr. Ashish Jha, White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator, in a Friday news conference. Jha, earlier this month, said he expects vaccinations to begin as early as Tuesday. Florida healthcare providers such as pediatricians may receive their vaccines days or even weeks after providers in other states. But his team is trying best to avoid a long delay, Jha added on Friday. Freed spokesperson Caroline Stonesifer said it was not intentional to hold Freed's media availability at the same time as DeSantis' news conference. I don't even see how the hell this guy can legally do that, prevent people from getting health care. When every other state, every state in the country is going to order these vaccines for the kids, and Florida is the only one that isn't. I mean, isn't there a precedent, or isn't there something that can be done, challenged in court against this bastard of a governor to reverse what he did? I mean, how do you let this go? You know, I don't understand how a governor can make a stand against the health of the people, of the children in Florida, and that's legal. I mean, I think that what the United States ought to do in this situation is basically, give this stuff to the doctors that work in Florida, go right around the governor's head, and say, screw it, we're not going to pay for this goddamn thing, but we're going to bill Florida for it, and you can pay it now, or we'll just wait till they switch governors, and then we'll get the money then. That's what I would do as president. I would just say, no, we'll send the vaccine down there, but we'll bill Florida for it later, okay? And one way or another, the state's going to pay it, so, whether Florida likes it or not, or DeSantis likes it or not, the people in that state deserve to get, especially the children, deserve to get their health care, whether he likes it or not. His personal opinion about vaccines should not be the overriding opinion of thousands and thousands of people who live in that state. Okay, what gives him the right for his, his minority opinion to, override the wishes of parents who want to take care of their kids? His decision isn't made because of he's got children or something like that. No, he don't care, about somebody else's child. He could care less, and this idea that DeSantis is trying to out Trump, okay, in his behavior, doesn't really sit well with me, because I figure Trump was the lowest of the low as far as presidents go in this country, okay? And that's saying a lot. We've had some pretty bad Republican presidents, but him being the worst of them, that's pretty bad. For this guy, for the governor, to want to be president and have to sink even lower than that, what kind of a fucking president is this guy going to be? Is he even going to bother to call himself a president, or are we going to have to, salute him like the Nazis saluted Hitler? What are we looking at here? Is this guy really the kind of person half of this country wants to see as a president in America? I mean, are we we've got a death sentence here, or what? Are we all deliberately trying to scuttle this country? I mean, it's like, people are saying, we're heading, on this road, we're heading to a civil war. It's going to happen, okay? If we stay on this road, it ends in a civil war, okay? And I agree with that. I really do. I don't think people in this country are going to be able to put up with this nonsense from the right wing forever. Okay, eventually people are going to get fed up with it, and it's going to take one person in a crowd that's got a gun or a bomb, and then that's going to spark everything. That's where we are pretty much right now. That you know, our safety right now, all of us, is in jeopardy. Some people don't feel safe to go get groceries. I mean, because places like that are being hit by gun violence. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not safe for your children to be anywhere. Okay? And, you know, how the hell do people like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, you know, how the hell do people like that get elected with the kind of positions that they take about problems in this country by actually making them worse? Okay? I mean, like, look, Greg Abbott was sitting there talking about the Uvalde shooting, saying, well, it could have been worse. Really? You mean it wasn't bad enough, but it could have been worse? You know? I mean, people that think like that are obviously out of their ever-loving fucking minds, okay? They don't deserve to hold any political office whatsoever, okay? What they ought to be doing is driving forklifts or working, you know, manual labor, you know, digging ditches or something. That's the kind of thing that people like that should be doing for a job, not sitting in a fucking nice, cushy office, you know, dictating bullshit and telling lies and being racist about people they see. Okay? People like that don't deserve a political office. They have no reason to be there. All right? DeSantis is a person who has no reason to be there, but he certainly would fit in a job, any other kind of job, where people can bullshit and lie all they want, where it doesn't affect other people's lives, you know. But this guy here he's a scumbag. That's all he is. And he doesn't care about how many kids that this could potentially put in harm's way and kill. He's already responsible for many deaths in Florida because of this way he's been handling the COVID situation down there. I mean, they went through a very bad period in Florida where the hospitals were simply full, overfull, okay? And nurses and doctors were just throwing their hands up in the air and giving up, okay? That happened, you know, earlier this year. And, you know, it was a really bad time for Florida. And I don't know how many, the numbers, I'm not even sure the numbers. It was a lot. A lot of people died in Florida. And, you know, a lot of people in the public eye died in Florida because they themselves thought that DeSantis was doing the right thing, and they ended up catching it and dying, okay? Poetic justice, you know, for a lot of these people. But like I said, they will sacrifice their life for a lie. And I don't understand how the hell people can fall into that trap. I really don't. And I understand, you know, it's happened many times in history. But even though, you know, we know about that, and we read about that, and we learn about that, it still doesn't seem to be real, you know, like it could happen, because you would never imagine people being so gullible and so stupid as to believe a friggin' lie, as, you know, obvious as it is, and then go to their deaths believing it. And a lot of these people we've seen in this country the last couple of years are willing to go to their graves spewing the same lie over and over and over again, knowing that what they're saying is really total bullshit. I mean, people have destroyed their careers by backing up, you know, a lie. You know, Sidney Powell, her career is in ruins now. They, you know, her law, the credentials, they're revoked. Okay, she can't do that anymore. Okay, same thing with Giuliani. Okay, they lost their law licenses, and that doesn't seem to matter a hill of beans at all to them. Okay, that they got caught lying and now they can't practice law, and they feel like they're right in what they did, you know. And I'm like, well, what are you smoking? What are you drinking that makes you so goddamn sure that what you were doing was so right that it was worth your freedom, worth your career, worth other people's lives, for that matter, to go out there and talk the bullshit you were talking? You know, what is it? I feel like this is, we're living in a reality that, feels like a dream, a friggin' nightmare, and that we can wake up from it and realize, oh, it was just all a dream. Sure, because you dream weird, impossible things will happen. That's how I feel like a lot of times, is I'm walking around in a goddamn dream, hearing about what's happening in our country, hearing about what's going on in the hearing, hearing about all the truths and stuff that are coming out in this hearing about January 6th and what people knew and when and what was being done. Hearing all this stuff, it's like, how the fuck did it ever get like this? I mean, this is, I feel worse about this than I did about 9/11. 9/11 was surreal, okay? But at the same time, the scale of it wasn't like it is today, okay? The scale of it was just localized in New York City and in Washington, D.C., in an area in Pennsylvania, okay? All involving planes, which wasn't like something that was impossible, because we've had hijackings and stuff like that a lot. And so it wasn't inconceivable that one day something like that might happen. But even though we just didn't want to admit that it could, but we knew that it probably could happen, because of the United States' meddling in other countries' affairs, as it were. And so when that happened, yeah, it was a shock, because our worst fears had come true that day. That payback time was coming, and that was in the form of that. But this, the January 6th thing, at first we all thought was just a localized event in DC. Then we find out months and months later that this was widespread all across the country. That there was premeditation in this thing that went back months and months before January 6th. That they were going to do this. They were going to rally there. And then it brings into mind, well, then how did they know at that time to be there for this? It's because you listen to Trump's speeches and stuff like that, and the things that he said, and the triggers that he would say in those things. People read between the lines about what Trump meant by a lot of that stuff, and so they took it, as a green light to prepare themselves for the eventuality of having to go to Washington, D.C. and force the hand of Vice President Pence at the time to overturn an election, which he had no authorization to do. Okay, and that's like I said, there was a lot of planning beforehand that didn't work. Fake electors and stuff like that in Georgia, and trying to find votes, and people coming up with stories like that goofy bitch there that was next to Giuliani there in that little hearing show the Republicans put on. Looked like they dug her up out of a B-movie set or something. Okay, I mean, it was so obvious on the surface that it was all bullshit and we were being played. Okay, but so many Republicans fell for it because they wanted it to be true. I think they wanted it all to be true because they liked Trump so goddamn much. I mean, they were willing to, give up their freedom, give up their lives, sacrifice other people's lives on the belief that Trump was cheated out of a victory. Okay, which out of 60 court cases, not one of them could produce the evidence that was needed to prove it. Okay, not one. I mean, they say 3 times a charm. Well, how about 60? 60 times. I mean, it's. I guess it's like, okay, well, we've done all we can. That's it. We had more than enough chances. I mean, even the Supreme Court, which was packed with Republicans, wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. So they all knew. Everybody knew in the circle knew what the truth was. And now that we're hearing all this stuff in the hearings and stuff, and we see what they knew, we find out that these people had known for a long time that Trump was pulling everybody's leg. But not a damn one of them would step forward and tell anybody about it. They just went right along with it. They went along with it. Maybe they were hoping that Trump would get away with it, and they wouldn't want to be caught flat-footed as being somebody that opposed him, because they didn't know what that would mean for them. It goes to show you how fear takes over judgment, you know. I'm guessing it was fear, or, you know, or maybe a payoff or something. I don't know. I really, really don't know. And I think we really ought to question these people more and say, why didn't you come forward sooner about this? Why did you wait till we had to subpoena you, chase you down, and make you come here and tell us under oath what the hell you know? Why? You know, is it part of your duty, when you took the oath of your office, to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic, you know? And if you hear stuff going around like plans of overthrowing something or breaking the law, you have to say something. You've got to say something. You cannot keep your oath and keep quiet about that and pretend nothing's happening. All right? Now, I know there's a lot of people that were more directly involved with January 6th than just Trump, okay? There were a lot of people involved in it, and every one of them, as far as I'm concerned, is as guilty as Trump, because they knew what they were doing was wrong, which is why they were avoiding being coming to the hearing, trying to, you know, take the fifth. When they were testifying, they wouldn't want to say anything because they obviously have a lot to hide. They know a whole lot, and their loyalty is to Trump. Instead of the American flag, their loyalty is to Trump, period. That's why, you know, I see a lot of vehicles, trucks driving around here with the Trump flag. That's the flag they follow. They don't give a shit about the American flag. That don't mean nothing to them anymore, okay? Their loyalty is to a man. And you know what that leads up to is fascism, okay? When your loyalty is to a man and not to an ideal that founded your country and stuff like that, it's only to a man, then, you know, your country doesn't mean shit anymore. You can take it or leave it. And I think when these people are screaming USA, USA, they're only saying that to draw attention to themselves, but they don't really mean anything about supporting the United States, okay? And I feel ashamed that a lot of the people that day were veterans down there doing this stuff, okay? Every goddamn one of them should have their disabilities revoked, okay? And be punished for it. Or at least, you know, brought to some military court to have, you know, have the truth brought out on them, because they broke their oath to protect this country by siding with people who hated our country, and they don't deserve the recognition of being a veteran or or anyone giving thanks to them for their work or for their efforts in the war or whatever war they were in. Okay, these people are fucking assholes, and they deserve to be punished and put in prison for that, for what they did that day. So, like I said, it's sad that you know, our country stands where it stands, and that people are willing to cover up the truth till they're forced to say something about it, until they feel comfortable about saying something, because they know that the other side is the losing end of this thing. All right, they know Trump's going down in flames, and he ain't going to save none of these fucking people. But at the same time, the people in the wings, the supporters, are all waiting for the moment in which to strike again. And people, you know, like this election worker here, they're going to be targets in future elections. They're going to be targets. People are going to remember this woman, and, you know, if she does this job again, which I doubt she's probably going to do. But any election worker now is going to be a target. People are going to know who these people are, where they live, and unfortunately, you know, their job is going to come with a price now, because a precedent has been set, and it's very hard to unring that bell once it's been done. Okay, you just can't. They opened the door to this mess, and now we're going to have to live with the consequences of it if we don't come down hard on these people that committed this crime here on January the 6th. So that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Keep your ears open for local COVID-19 news, and subscribe and comment, and I hope to hear from you soon, and I'll talk to you guys later, so take care. Bye-bye.